on the Rams, don't sleep on Seattle. I do think the NFC champion will be out of the West or the North.
Fair enough. But specifically with the division.
No South and East, West or North.
Remember the Packers beat them week 1. Schefter, yesterday you reported, as we continue the huddle here, you said there's no chance the Browns.
Welcome back to First Take. The Lions host the Vikings on Sunday in an NFC North showdown. Detroit coming off their bye after destroying the Buccaneers in Week 7. Now they'll look to do the same against the Vikings, who expect to get J.J. McCarthy back from injury. Moving on to the first place team from the North, the Packers will look to maintain their lead by taking down the Panthers on Sunday. Carolina hasn't won in Green Bay since 2008. To the topic at hand, RC. Which of those two teams is more likely to prove they're the king of the North this weekend?
Well, I don't think you get to prove you're the king of the North this weekend when you look at these matchups. But the Green Bay Packers are the king of the North. The Green Bay Packers, I said this early on in the season, and the loss to the Browns hasn't deterred me. The tie to the Dallas Cowboys haven't deterred me. When you watch the way this team play and the ascension of Jordan Love, the impact of Micah Parsons and Jeff Hafley defensively, this is the creme de la creme of the NFC North.
Go ahead, Cam.
Creme de la creme. You're wrong. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I think we all deserve, or we all need to apologize to the Detroit Lions. Because the first week, did we not jump to conclusion?
Oh, shovel dirt on
Ben Johnson was the greatest thing. That offense is not going to do. Jared Goff hasn't threw a touchdown with anybody. Like, then insert, what's my man's name? John Morton. Number 2 offense, number 3 scoring. Like, bro, you're just top five. And now they haven't missed a beat. Dan Gamble, man, my guy has been putting on a masterclass of how to take a franchise and rejuvenate something that we all knew was there with talent, where we thought Jared Goff was going to go to Detroit to die. But now Jared Goff is now revitalized. Now you put Amon-Ra St. Now you put J-Bo. Now you put Jahmyr Gibbs. Now you put Montgomery, those assets, and then you have a plethora of tight ends, man. I mean, what else do you want them to do? You got Green Bay there. Like, they got a lot of hype, obviously with Micah, thanks to Jerry, Jacoby. But at the same time, when you start to think about, okay, where the rubber meets the road is, the Detroit Lions have not missed, skipped, sputtered, stuttered, nothing since last season.
Except for when they played the Packers and the Chiefs this year, but it's okay.
That's true. Those are 2 incidences.
The first game of the season.
I said that. He said 2. He didn't say 1 game. He said 2. He said 2. We just saw a couple of weeks ago they got spanked by the Kansas City Chiefs on the road. Well, you saw that game? Did you miss it? You didn't miss it.
The numbers don't lie.
You didn't miss it. You didn't miss it.
Offense.
So let's look at this, okay? I'm not sold on Green Bay being that team. In part because I actually do believe in the Lions. I believe in them because of Dan Campbell. I believe in them because of their familiarity with one another, the same personnel they had last year, for the most part. I mean, whether it's Amon-Ra St. Brown with Jameson Williams, with Laporta, with Gibbs and Montgomery in the backfield, with your offensive line. I mean, their boys are intact. Defensively, give love to Kelvin Shepherd.
Yes, sir.
Who's filled in for Aaron Glenn. Filled in for Aaron Glenn. The brother's doing a hell of a job.
Yes, he is.
They do have one deficiency, however. And then not defensively, offensively. When you talk about their offense, John, the reason why we got on John Moore is because of the way they got spanked. And you're saying, listen, Ben Johnson, they raving all about him. You have the same personnel. You can't have trouble offensively. To his credit, they're the 3rd-ranked offense in the National Football League, scoring over 30 a game. But they're 3rd. They're like the 3rd worst when it comes to 3rd down conversions. You got to pay attention. You got to convert on 3rd down.
Well, the thing is, though, because it's pressure on Jared Goff. And this is a difficult question to answer because I believe both of these teams will play a part in who goes to the Super Bowl, right? These are NFC championship contenders. I love when I watch the Detroit Lions. I love what Kelvin Shepherd did on Monday night, the disguises, the pressure, the doubles that we saw on Emeka Egbuka, the confusion that we saw on Baker Mayfield, the pressure that they were able to apply, the turnovers. I think all of those things are great. When I look at the Green Bay Packers defensively, I have more faith in what they're doing. I have more faith in their players, but I still think we're talking about a team that can really run the ball, that no longer has to rely on that because they have a quarterback with weapons who is getting better.
Third down offense for Detroit ranks 22nd in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think the difference between Green Bay and Detroit comes down to who gets home field advantage.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think that if you in Green Bay, that's a different animal. If you in Detroit,
100%.
that's a different problem for Green Bay.
We saw Detroit with home field last year get rolled by Washington in a game where, all right, the defense was hurt, but
13 different guys.
Goff was abysmal in that game offensively. On the other side with Green Bay, at some point, Love has to find the next gear. Until he finds the next gear, Green Bay's going to be that really good team that we're sitting around talking about, like, hey, Green Bay's ready.
If Love found that next gear, we wouldn't be worried about Green Bay winning on the road.
20 completions in a row, 360 yards, 3 tubs in Pittsburgh. Don't you say nothing nasty.
That Pittsburgh
Don't you say nothing nasty.
All right, let it sit. Let it sit. Coming up, with Lamar Jackson back in action, are the Ravens just as scary as the Chiefs and the Bills who square off Sunday? And the AFC is
not so much, but guess what? This guy, he's going to provide a boost. QB J.J. McCarthy, he has been out 6 weeks with that high ankle sprain, but he is poised to return Sunday and make his third NFL start. He will do so in Detroit. That's got to get Vikings fans excited after a tough season for them. All right, we welcome back in our NFL insiders, Tyler Sullivan and JP Acosta. McCarthy says he's feeling amazing, that he's ready to go. How much of an impact will he make? Because they're hopeful that this is the start of something special for the Vikings with McCarthy at the helm. Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, I have my doubts that this will be something special for 2025. Now, this is a player that Kevin O'Connell has a long-term view on. So this isn't just for week 9 in the NFL in 2025. This is for 2026, 2027, and hopefully beyond. And so the reason why I'm a little bit apprehensive to say, okay, this is splash, you're going to get your QB1 for week 1 back into the fold, because he hasn't looked great when he was that QB1 for the Minnesota Vikings to begin the season. He was really that fourth quarter comeback against the Chicago Bears, and everything else around that was a little bit uneasy. More turnovers than total touchdowns in his 2 starts. He was throwing for 152 passing yards per game. It's not like this was a prolific J.J. McCarthy that we unfortunately saw go down with a high ankle sprain, to the point where I wrote on CBSSports.com, like, was this a relative soft benching for him? I mean, you have Carson Wentz, who they described to be as banged up as humanly possible over the last few weeks, and you have a guy like J.J. McCarthy practicing on a limited basis. So what does that tell us to a degree? So I'm a little concerned about what J.J. McCarthy is going to look like once he gets under center.
Okay, so we're excited to watch McCarthy, even though you're concerned about what he's going to look like. We got to ask you about the other Vikings player to watch, which is wide receiver Jordan Addison. Since returning from his suspension, he's had a productive season, very reliable. But what do we need to watch for this Sunday from him, Tyler?
Specifically, look for him in the red area. He has been someone that the Minnesota Vikings have really turned to when we get into scoring position. He has more red zone targets than Justin Jefferson. Of course, some of that has to go with how coverages play against Justin Jefferson and how that helps free up Jordan Addison. But it makes no mistake about it, he is someone that they like to scheme up in the red area, and this is a good matchup for him to find the red zone. The Detroit Lions, believe it or not, have allowed the second most receiving touchdowns to wide receivers in the NFL, only looking up to the Dallas Cowboys. And anytime your defense is talked about in the same breath as the Dallas Cowboys, not necessarily a good thing. So look for Jordan Addison to possibly get in the red zone this weekend.
I love the Jordan Addison impact player shout. I'm going to go with defensive tackle Jalen Redmond. He's been incredibly efficient on pass rush snaps. He has a 13.6% pressure rate on only 118 pass rush snaps. And if you're going to beat this Detroit Lions offense, you have to win up the middle of the offensive line where they're most inexperienced. The Vikings need somebody on that defensive line to really step up, to really make an impact as a pass rusher. And Jalen Redmond's quickness and his burst on the inside of the line of scrimmage really might give Jared Goff some problems. And they're going to need him, especially if Andrew Van Ginkel isn't 100%.
All right, JP, we know the Lions have that momentum sitting at 5-2, and fresh off the bye week, are they on that solid trajectory and another path for a deep playoff run? What do you think when you look at the rest of their schedule?
I think they're on track for another deep playoff run because they've weathered the storm of injuries once again. It really shows how much of a culture Dan Campbell has built, how well the coordinators have called the plays, John Morton on the offensive side of the ball, and then Kelvin Shepherd on the defense. And you're just getting impact plays from guys that you didn't expect it from. Amik Robertson has really stepped into this role as their CB1 when DJ Reed and Terry and Arnold have been out. Aiden Hutchinson has played well. You've gotten a lot of good play from Jack Campbell in the middle of that defense. But the offense has really started to figure it out since that week 1 loss against the Packers, and it's because that offensive line has gelled well. You've seen this offensive line play a lot better